The narrative that men are natural protectors of women is not only a falsehood, but a strategic lie that has been used to maintain patriarchal control for millennia. This myth is a key pillar of a system that thrives on subjugating women, masking men's desire for dominance behind a facade of noble intentions. In reality, men's so-called protectiveness has historically functioned as a form of control, keeping women dependent, confined, and fearful. The true purpose of this narrative is not to care for women, but to keep them in a position of subservience, reinforcing the idea that they are inherently weaker, less capable, and perpetually in need of male guidance. The protector role has been romanticized as an intrinsic part of masculinity, but when we strip away the mythology, it becomes clear that it is little more than a tactic of oppression. Men's claims of wanting to protect women are a convenient justification for controlling their movements, choices, and bodies. This dynamic is evident across cultures and historical eras. For centuries, men have dictated what women can wear, where they can go, and who they can associate with, all under the guise of keeping them safe. But let's be honest, this is not about safety, it's about power. When a man restricts a woman's freedoms, he is asserting ownership over her, much like a guard dog claims a territory it patrols. In Victorian England, women were kept out of public spaces to preserve their virtue. Today, the same logic is applied when men restrict women's choices in the name of protection. This so-called concern is often a thinly veiled assertion of dominance, a way of marking women as territory that only they can defend. The message is clear. Women are not free agents. They are dependent objects whose very existence must be overseen by a man. This system not only infantilizes women, but also allows men to maintain control over their actions, turning protection into a form of social imprisonment. The narrative of male bravery is deeply tied to the idea that men are naturally more suited to leadership and public life. By positioning themselves as protectors, men reinforce their role as the decision-makers, the ones who face the outside world, while women are relegated to the background. This narrative conveniently ignores the fact that much of the danger women face in their daily lives comes from men themselves. The overwhelming majority of violence against women, like sexual assault, intimate partner violence, and harassment, is perpetrated by men. And yet, the idea persists that women need protection from the world, not from men. It's a dark irony. Men create the danger and then present themselves as the solution to it. This dichotomy is not accidental. It's a tactic of psychological warfare. The narrative of the brave male protector instills a sense of dependence in women, making them believe that they are vulnerable without a man by their side. It teaches women to distrust themselves and to see men as their only refuge from a dangerous world. Meanwhile, it allows men to feel heroic, even when they are part of the very systems that put women in harm's way. It's a self-perpetuating cycle that ensures that women remain dependent on the very people who maintain their oppression. Let's talk about how this plays out in everyday relationships. When men claim to protect their wives, girlfriends, or daughters, what they are often doing is limiting their freedom. They restrict who she can see, what she can wear, or where she can go. They justify their possessiveness as concern, saying that they are only trying to keep her safe. But this concern rarely extends to protecting women from the risks men themselves create. How often do these protective men challenge the toxic behaviors of their male peers? How often do they hold other men accountable for harassment, violence, and exploitation? Rarely. Instead, they focus on policing the behavior of the women in their lives, ensuring that they remain under their control. This hypocrisy is a form of gaslighting, convincing women that their protectors are acting in their best interests, even as they strip away their autonomy. It's an effective tactic that conditions women to doubt their own instincts, making them believe that their freedom is a threat to their own safety. In this way, the protector narrative functions as a psychological leash, keeping women dependent while allowing men to claim the moral high ground. The reality is that men are not women's protectors, they are their primary predators. Statistics make this painfully clear. The majority of sexual assaults, domestic violence incidents, and murders of women are committed by men. In the United States, nearly 1 in 5 women has experienced rape or attempted rape, with men overwhelmingly being the perpetrators. Yet, the myth of male protection persists, deflecting attention from the real issue: the role of men in creating and perpetuating a culture of violence against women. The emphasis on male bravery is particularly galling in light of these facts. The truth is that most men do not spend their time protecting women from harm. They are more likely to look the other way, excuse their friends' behaviour, or even contribute to the problem. When men do intervene, they often do so in ways that centre their own heroism rather than genuinely addressing the harm. They act not to empower women, but to reaffirm their own role as saviours, maintaining the status quo rather than dismantling it. What is needed is not more male protection, but a radical rejection of male dominance in all its forms. Women do not need men to protect them. They need men to stop being the source of their oppression. True liberation will not come from men acting as benevolent guardians. It will come when women refuse to accept their role as the protected and instead demand their right to exist freely without being constantly monitored and controlled. It will come when men stop positioning themselves as the gatekeepers of women's safety and start dismantling the toxic masculinity that drives male violence in the first place. This requires a complete overhaul of how society views gender roles. It means teaching boys that their worth is not tied to physical strength or their ability to dominate others. It means teaching girls that they have the right to protect themselves, to occupy space without fear, and to reject the myth that they are weak or fragile. It means a world where men are not conditioned to see women as extensions of their own egos, but as equals who do not need saving. The idea that men are protectors and providers is a myth designed to maintain patriarchal power. It's a story that allows men to dominate while masquerading as selfless guardians. But for women, this myth has always been a prison. A world built on this lie will never be a safe one for women, because it is a world where their freedom is always contingent on male approval. The end of this myth requires not just a shift in behaviour, but a radical reimagining of society itself, one where men's dominance is no longer mistaken for heroism, and women's independence is no longer seen as a threat. True protection does not come from the men who have always held the keys to our cages. It comes from tearing down the cages altogether. It comes from women rejecting the roles that patriarchy assigns them and reclaiming their power. Men will not save us from the world they built. We will save ourselves.